Hello, contractors, and welcome to Toolbox for the Trades. My name is Jackie Aubel, and today I am speaking with Brooke and Allie Riley of Riley Plumbing, Heating, and Air in California and Nevada. I spoke with these co owners about how they're leveraging AI to take their business to the next level. I hope you enjoy this episode and find it as inspiring as I did. Brooke and Allie Riley, you are the co-owners of Riley Plumbing, Heating, and Air in Nevada and in California. Today, we're going to be talking about how the two of you are leveraging AI to take your business to the next level. I am so excited for you guys to join me today on Toolbox for the Trades. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. We're happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
I'm so excited to chat with you guys and get into this. AI, as you can imagine, is all the rage. And I have been talking to all of my people and asking them, who are some folks in the trades that are doing some cool stuff with AI? And your name, Brooke, came up. And when we were doing our pre-interview, you spoke so highly of Allie and how she's been so integral to the success at Riley. So I'm so glad that both of you could join me today. We are going to kick things off with an icebreaker like we always do. So Brooke, why don't you take it first? If you had to choose a song to be the soundtrack of your life, what would it be and why?
I went with the Lose Yourself by Eminem just because it's about perseverance, preparation for opportunity. Yeah, when the moment shows up, you better be ready to execute.
Yeah, I love that. It's not the first time, by the way, that Eminem has been coined on the show. I don't think we have Eminem money for Pantheon, but maybe one day.
Oh yeah, that would be nice. And you mentioned the AI. That was the one the AI suggested too. So that we thought that was interesting that this was the AI meeting, and that was what it suggested.
That is so funny that you actually asked AI what the soundtrack of your life would be. Did it give you any other options, or did it just give you Lose Yourself by Eminem?
It just gave me that one. It's learning me.
It knows your likes and your desires. Allie,
Yeah.
what about you? Does Lose Yourself by Eminem have the same connection for you, or do you have a different song?
It doesn't. My song is Unstoppable. And I forgot what was that by?
Oh, you mean Sia?
Or Sia. Is that how you say it?
Yeah. Well, I love that. That's actually a
Sia.
great one. Unstoppable and Lose Yourself. Very, very good anthems for two folks that are building quite the business. So we're going to start from the beginning. Brooke, I would love to know, how did you get into the trades?
Yeah, I answered an ad in the newspaper, said drain cleaners, and I'd always help my dad clean the gutters out. So I can clean gutters out. And I went, and it was a big plumbing company, and the drains was a sewer. I was like, well, let's give it a try. As I worked for a Roto-Rooter company basically for the first year, and decided probably should get into the HVAC side too, a little cleaner, but the plumbing always paid the bills. I was one of the youngest people in California to get their license. I got my license at, I think, 19 years old, and they investigated me. They didn't think I could possibly have the experience, but like you said, I'd been doing it since I was 16. And I actually, for some reason, I saved all my pay stubs from the years, and we submitted them. And it's not, I think they require 3 or 4 years experience, but they require 40 hours a week. They're like, there's no way you have 3 years and 40 hours a week. And so I remember driving to Sacramento, and the contractors were bringing all the pay stubs and laying them out on the desk for the lady. This was pre-internet and stuff. And you couldn't do everything online like you can today. I remember driving to Sacramento, and they were like, well, you certainly proved that you had 40 hours a week. And yeah, I got my license at 19 years old.
Dang, that's really impressive. My first job was a shampoo girl at 16, and I am obviously not running a hair salon right now. So that is being able to identify the industry that you're working in at such a young age. That's pretty rare. When did you make the move from working at plumbing and HVAC shops to starting Riley?
1999. So I would have been 20 years old then. I went out on my own. The company I was working for, the guy retired. And as opposed to working for someone else, I started in Lake Tahoe, California in 1999, right on Emerald Bay Road. And I think a lot of people can say, I didn't realize that there's so many people like you and service willing to help. I always thought it was me against the world for years. I always thought it was me against the world. And this is amazing how everybody was so willing to help this whole time. Getting on board with ServiceTitan, huge eye opener. I was a typical guy, worked for a job for a lot of years. I think I'm trying to make up for it now. Bringing on ServiceTitan really shed the light. We didn't have to make this stuff up ourselves. I wish in 99 I'd reached out and asked people smarter than me like we've learned it. And I don't think there was cool resources like Toolbox for the trades where you could back then either.
Well, I think the first podcast came out in 2008 or 2009. So definitely Toolbox for the Trades was not around. It's funny you mentioned that. I come from the trades as well. Tangentially, my dad was a carpenter in New York City, and he had his own company in the 90s. And he listens to the show sometimes. If you're listening, hi, Dad. Now I have the privilege of running the show that allows contractors to support one another. But also, man, like you're telling me that you started on your own before you could even legally drink in the United States. That is so much personal development that you're mapping with actually growing a business. Like hindsight's always 2020, man, but I give you so much props for taking that leap at such a young age. I think that's awesome. Allie, I would love to know how you got into the trades or if it was Brooke that just kind of brought you along for the ride. So tell me your side of the story. How did you get in?
I was a property manager for almost 20 years, and that's how we met. I was helping him part-time here and there with paperwork, getting invoices out. And I was like, you need a little more help than that. And then the opportunity came about to where I could leave my job and come help him full time. And I just ran with it. I love delegating. I'm a problem solver. I like to deal with people. So it was, I guess you could say, easy for me in that sense. I had to learn everything else behind it. I didn't know too much about HVAC and plumbing, but just talking about it every day and coming up with solutions has definitely helped to absorb all that information.
Very cool. Wait, so this is adorable. Did you guys meet on the job? Was Brooke servicing one of the properties you managed?
Yes. I would call him to make sure that, he would go and service our heating systems or go out to a tenant's property and clear their toilet or whatever it was. But yes, that's how we met.
So I want to hear how Riley has evolved over the years. So Brooke, if my timeline is correct, 99, you say you started the business, or 99 was when you got your license and then you started the
99 is when you
business?
started the business in 99.
Dang. So we're 2026 right now. Talk to me about how, like, what have been the big markers as the business has grown? Like when you look back at over 25 years in business, what are some of the big points that would be on like a timeline of Riley, like big things that helped push you forward?
Having everything in order and having a program and with your metrics that we never understood before. And then also we got to give a lot of credit to BDR. We just went to the BDR event. I know they're ServiceTitan partner. Between hiring BDR and ServiceTitan, that's when everything started making sense. And we realized that there's no secrets out there. It's all the same. It's who's doing it better.
It just all started coming together, more so at your fingertips. We were sending invoices out through a fax machine at some point, right? And now we're like, no, here's your emailed invoice. And it's just been really exciting, I think, in the last 10 years, how everything has just come together in that sense, and people that we can reach out to and communicate with and, have that other support system to us has been really helpful.
And Titan Advisor, I mean, a blueprint to run your business. From the minute we got on, we started looking at that, this increases, and just following Titan Advisor. That was very, very helpful. That feature in ServiceTitan, it's tells you what to do next, pretty much.
Yeah, it's really, really awesome. And I'm so happy to hear that the software, I've said this so many times on the show at this point, but I've worked for many companies that don't exist anymore in tech, startups that don't exist anymore. And it's incredible how much technology has been brought into the trades in the last 10 years. But you guys can really see the difference because you started at the turn of the century where most businesses were still running pen and paper.
You remember the Thomas Guide map books? I mean, that's how we would navigate to the service call.
Wild.
Yeah, it was before there were no there wasn't an iPhone. You could hit maps and it give you step-by-step turning directions to get to customers' houses. It was old school when I started.
We're going to get into the AI in a minute. I keep teasing it. But before we do, Allie, I want to talk a little bit about you because Brooke gave you so much credit when we first talked about your ability to optimize some of these workflows. Obviously, you were really critical in bringing ServiceTitan on board. What I'm trying to get out of this question I'm about to ask you is I want to kind of hear how your brain works and how you approach problems. So can you walk me through a recent example where you identified an operational problem in the business and how you went about fixing it?
I think we owe it a lot again to ServiceTitan because trying to communicate with a customer, right? Not everybody's going to answer their phone or an email. And so having the ability to text, I think that we weren't there yet at one point. And so when that came about, it was like, okay, let's get this set up. We can text now, you know? So if a customer isn't able to answer their phone now and implementing, we work together a lot on these things. I'll run it by him, he runs it by me, and we work together to make sure that we implement it and we run with it. And I think that must be one of the biggest ones for me. I think we've evolved so fast in the last few years from a pager and a cell phone to an email to a text message and being able to communicate with the customer even faster. That for me was great.
I like that you mentioned that you kind of run things by him and you guys map it out. Because, and what this is like, I think going to be a theme as we go into this next part of our conversation, right? In the 25 years you guys been in business, you have implemented a ton of technology, a ton of change at your business. Change management is so integral when you introduce new technology and you get your team on board. Like, it's one thing for the two of you as equal stakeholders in this business. It's one thing for the two of you to be like, yeah, we have to implement this. So when it comes to, for example, take the text example, like being able to text and communicate with your customers, did you experience any pushback or any hesitancy from your team when it came to implementing that? And if so, how did you go around it?
Anything new, anything change, people seem to be afraid of. We found it very helpful to explain the why. We'll use Dispatch Pro as an example, telling the dispatchers, okay, we're using Dispatch Pro now. Leave the job unassigned and let it do its job. That didn't work at all. Once we showed them what the average ticket difference was, how it's optimizing the routes, I think it's very important to explain the why we're doing this, why it's going to be good for the company. When I hear something new, especially with all the tech and how great everything's been with all the evolving technology, I'm like, what's next? What's next? What's the newest thing? And how quick can we get it? But explaining the why is huge.
They just understand it better and it makes them feel like, oh, okay, well, I am 110% sure of what it's doing. And so now I'm just going to make sure that I help it or I make sure that I use it to be able to work better, you know, in regards to their workflow. So having them sit with you and telling them why, all of the reasons behind it, then they definitely support you in that decision.
Yeah, that's definitely something I've heard before, and something that I have to remind myself to do even with my team that I manage is explaining the why we're doing this. I'll try to answer the why before I bring it to my team. And if I can't answer the why for myself, I'm like, oh, I'm not even going to bother about this. Like, that has been a tool that I've learned from doing this show and listening to leaders like you guys. I'm like, oh, if I can't answer a why we're doing this, why the hell are we doing this? All right, crisis averted, moving on. Have you experienced that at all?
We have. We have definitely. And really, I guess we shouldn't think about it too much. Like you said, it's like, okay, well, why did I even think about that? Never mind. Let's move on to the next thing that is really going to help us and assist our team members and getting the work done.
Brooke, you gave me a perfect end to my next question. This last year at Pantheon in 2025, AI was, I think, included in every single keynote. So it's jarring how quickly this has impacted the trades and just humanity on a whole, right? Brooke, you already said that you love implementing new technology. That is not an issue for you. You get excited about the new stuff. So I don't really have to ask you about your motivation, but I would love to hear a bit about what AI tools you guys are currently using at Riley and where you're seeing their value.
Definitely Dispatch Pro. I just mentioned Dispatch Pro or dispatching for dollars. The numbers don't lie. When Dispatch Pro is not being utilized, we have like a $390 average ticket. When the dispatchers use Dispatch Pro, it's $1,057. That's just a huge advantage. Not only that, one dispatcher can run 15, 20 technicians. That's like a superpower. I was on a meeting with someone that she said it was like it's like putting on the superpower cape. It frees up time to do other stuff that instead of thinking about with dispatchers, thinking about who's got the shortest route and all that, they could spend time doing the accounts receivable. Dispatch Pro is definitely a huge one. I mean, we're using any AI tool we can get our hands on. We use all the Pro products, the Sales Pro, So we can coach all our technicians. We have all our technicians. We can record every call, every service call.
Contact Center Pro.
Yeah, the AI picks out, if anybody's listening to this is familiar, you don't have to listen to entire transcripts anymore. It goes right to, I mean, it saves so much time. The AI we're using for call classification, which is also a partner, it's Lace, has freed up 3 8-hour days from someone listening to call recordings and classifying everything in ServiceTitan. I mean, that's huge. My daughter spent 3 out of her 5 work days just listening to calls. I mean, AI has completely eliminated that workflow. The AI listens to all the calls, classifies all the calls. That's huge.
Dang. It is really incredible how AI, when leveraged properly, can help take away those redundant tasks. Like you were saying, your daughter was listening to 3 of her 5 days were listening to call recordings. So now that she has Sales Pro to classify those calls, where are you having her spend her time instead?
Well, it's all an outbound game. The ServiceTitan AI, I mean, gets better every day. It's pretty consistently over 70%. So the inbound is almost completely handled also. So she spends a lot of her time doing the outbounds, maybe the people that don't necessarily want to talk to the AI or happy calls. The inbound call game's complete. Like I don't think we're ever going to have to answer an inbound call again. It's all outbound. The AI has taken inbound completely off our plate. We still have to have someone there. There's still people that don't want to talk to the AI, but it's literally, we do 100% outbound here now. There is 0 inbound call taking here. It's
That's
just
incredible.
following up with confirming what the AI is already,
Is already
captured.
doing.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I haven't heard someone put it that way. So basically your inbound process is more or less automated, right? And that's probably allowing you to capture a significant amount of market share in your areas that you didn't have the resources to capture before.
Yeah, and just the fact it can answer, you only have people call at the same time. It can answer 4 calls at once. I'm sure hospitals and restaurants feel like everybody comes at the same time. It's the same here. Like it gets called, everybody calls at once. It's physically impossible to end. The AI gives you the opportunity to capture all that. And then with all the great tools Marketing Pro has, if we don't get back to them, I mean, they're getting a text message or some kind of response before they can put their phone back in their pocket. They should not even have time to call another contractor.
That is awesome. How are you seeing your customers in general respond to these automated systems you're putting in place? And what steps do you take if a customer is bristly about it, who is like, give me a human? How do you guys handle that?
It gets flagged and we call them back immediately and say, there is a person here to help you, because that's typically the concern. We had several 5-star reviews over the Christmas holidays that raved about the AI, about how
They didn't even know.
Yeah, you can look on our Google thing on Christmas Day. And the lady was saying, Christmas Day, the AI answered, never talk to a human until the technician showed up on the door. I mean, that's the goal. She was extremely impressed with it. It's fantastic after hours on weekend. If anybody's not using it to at least handle their after hours or overflow when they can't man their office, they're missing the boat on that one. I could probably speak for every service contractor here on the answering services. Never sleeps, never calls in sick, answers the phone on one ring. And even if you do get a good answering service, if anybody knows an answering service that answers in one ring, I don't think that's even exists.
Dude, that's incredible. Another thing I caught in like our pre-interview, one thing you mentioned during that call was that you're telling your coworkers, your colleagues, don't fight the AI. I mean, it sounds like you're sharing with them hard stats. Hey, this is what happens when we use it. This is what happens when we don't. So you're telling them the why. I feel like there's people that fall into several camps. There's people that are super excited about it. And then there's people that are like, I don't trust these robots. So I'm curious, you guys are a big operation. Like, how did you manage all of this change internally?
This morning, I pulled up the numbers of Dispatch Pro and I show them the average, the why. I show them the average ticket with it, average ticket without it. And that gets people excited.
Mm-hmm. We also spiff for outbound calling. And so they have to meet a certain metric. But if they do, then, that just shows them like, look, if AI is doing this for you, this frees up your time so you can do the outbound calls and you're getting spiffed on it. So that's how we get them really involved in that. And they see that, it does free up their time to be able to do more and they get more for it as well. So that's exciting to them.
Now you have more time to do outbound calls and you can earn more money. That's awesome. That's great. So rumor has it, I teased it before, that you guys are currently developing an AI-only location. Tell me about that.
It's done. It's sitting there in Reno. There's nobody in it. I mean, our call center's here. All the inbounds handled. They talk to the AI, and our technicians that work in the Reno, Nevada, they get Dispatch Pro dispatch them. So there is no office where we can run that whole branch from our home call center. Our goal is to completely double revenue with zero overhead this year. We're not going to hire anybody for that branch. We got the technicians have the keys and they're welcome to go in and get material and stuff like that. But we're going to use the AI to staff it.
That's really, really cool. And it really shows that the ability to expand is kind of almost limitless. It's like, okay, I got to find some like good, reliable technicians in this area. And as long as I have them, then I can set up this remote location and bang, boom, I can manage it from wherever I want to be.
I mean, my goal is for someone to call the Reno branch and ask for the bookkeeper and have a billing question. And then actually they can talk to the AI. They think the AI is the book, this is Jackie, the bookkeeper. We got the CSR. So now we're working on the accountant and the dispatcher. We're working on the CSR and the accountant AI for that branch. I mean, billing questions. How easy can that be?
Pretty darn easy, I would imagine. And you know what I'm also thinking of too? Like, I'm thinking of the benefits of like having AI virtual employees. If you are working in the billing department, for example, and so you're processing payroll, you're processing accounts receivable, accounts payables, you're like in spreadsheets every day. How disruptive is it for a human who's like going in on a task and then, oh, you got a call from a customer. Now I've got to put on my customer service hat. So if you have AI being able to field like 90% of these inquiries and you only get passed over when things get really complicated, that also potentially allows people to be incredibly productive in a way they weren't before. What about for you two personally, like in your own personal use of AI? I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yes, I will say he's the one that runs with it a lot more than I do. He uses ChatGPT all day long. I use it too, but I think he utilizes that a little more than I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I use ChatGPT for everything.
Well, you did use it to answer your icebreaker. So yeah, that's fair to say.
I did use it to answer the icebreaker. I'm not seeing the need for minor stuff you would normally call an attorney for anymore. That's completely off the plate. You can put all that into ChatGPT. AI email, of course, that sorts it all and throws, all the telemarketers, all the spam in a box. That's been huge. I mean, back in the day, people were hiring personal assistants to look at their email. I mean, there's AI tools now that will handle your email for you, bring all your important ones to the top. You put Jackie Abel in your AI favorites, and anytime, it'll always bring your email to the top.
And Gemini too. It was actually almost over dinner. We were talking about like, if we're doing this and we're asking ChatGPT or Siri, it was Siri, remember, about who's the best plumber in our area, why aren't we coming up on that? And then we started digging into that and, asking Gemini and checking to see where we were at. And we're like, well, we want to be number one.
Yeah, how do we do it? And it tells you.
I feel like genuinely we are just scratching the tip to how AI is capable to support the trades. And I feel like this conversation with us three, like we're going to look at it 3 years from now and be like, we didn't even know what we didn't know. And it's just going to be incredible.
Another one I wanted to mention that we're going to start having our sales guys record their whole install on a note taker like Otter AI or Crisp or something like that. And then you can upload that into ChatGPT with all the pictures and have it give you a perfect game plan for your installers to set them up for success. A sales guy can just walk around and take pictures and talk about it and then upload it and do the whole debrief for the installer. So we're gonna start utilizing that superpower just to set our installers up for success, because I'm sure everyone listening to this podcast has had the installers as their sales guy. But if you record the entire job, they were going to miss a lot less.
So you're talking about like from the sales guy to the installer, recording the phone call, uploading that recording to ChatGPT or Gemini, whatever, and then having ChatGPT spit out like a list of action items for the installer.
Exactly.
That is actually one thing that's super helped me. I mean, I did it actually for this call. Brooke, remember when I first called you, I was like, hey, FYI, my Zoom is going in the background because I'm recording this. I'm able to upload the transcript to Gemini and say, hey, what were some of the key things that me and Brooke talked about? And I have my own notes, but like it's so helpful because I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's really helpful. I really think that they're like, the limit does not exist, honestly. So what are your hopes for Riley in the next like year, the next 5 years? You guys have a game plan. I know you have your daughter involved in your business. I think you have other family involved too. So where are you hoping you guys are going to be in the next year, 5 years?
We are really working on getting our numbers right, doubling, tripling EBITDA, and maybe some of the private equities will start reaching out, and then we can go from there.
I think that would sound like a really, really cool goal for you to achieve, especially someone who's been building a business for 25 years. One last thing I want to chat with you guys about, unless there's anything else that we should have talked about that we didn't. I have to tell you, I absolutely love your logo. For anyone who's not watching on YouTube, they have had their logo behind them this whole interview, and it is like a beautiful mountain lion. What made you decide on that for your mascot?
You know, we went with Dan Antonelli and Kick Charge.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to give them credit for that. You don't hire someone and then tell them what you want your logo to be. So we let them design it. We get compliments on it all the time. So they know what they're doing. That Kick Charge when it comes to branding, we did our best not to argue with them and just go with what they suggest. That was the hardest thing. But it's like, why would you, if you already know what you want your logo, why would you hire someone like that? So we went with the experts on that one.
Yeah, it's really striking. It's so pretty. It honestly reminds me of a tattoo trend from several years ago. Guys, this has been an awesome interview. It has been so great to hear how the two of you are leveraging AI in your business. About 20 employees, 2 locations, and you're seeing so much gain from it in such a short amount of time. Is there anything we should have talked about that we didn't get a chance to?
Just back to don't fight the AI would be the best advice. Like, I mean, it's kind of where the industry's going. And if you have someone in your business that's fighting the AI, they're not helping at this point. It just gives you superpowers, and that's how they need to look at it. And I really feel bad for the people that are getting behind, that are fighting it. They're going to be so far behind. I hope they'll be able to catch up.
Yeah, it really feels like a pretty seismic shift in the industry. And again, like in humanity as a whole, I think everybody, regardless of industry, has to be prepared to answer the question, how do you use AI to be better at your job? I think you need to be able to answer it now.
There's definitely a shortage of workers in the skilled trades. I hope that all the technicians in the future would not want to work for any company that's not using AI. I would not want to go to work for someone as a technician if they were against AI.
Allie, any final words? I want to make sure we get you two at the end.
I thank you for the opportunity to be here with you today. We really appreciate that. I just hope that we can continue to bring excellence to the industry and continue to push through, because anything is possible.
Awesome. And with that, we will end. Guys, really, what a fantastic interview. Thank you for joining me on Toolbox for the Trades.